Hey-yo.
Here.
Hey. I'm trying to look for myself behind this thing.
Yeah. Hey, guys, God bless you. Thank you so much. This is Let's Just Talk every single Tuesday. Can you believe it? We pretty much made it on time. Well, 7 minutes late, but pretty much made it on time. We're here, just three guys. I'm Pastor David here at House of Rest, or just David, the pastor of House of Rest Church. There's my brother Angel right there.
Hello.
And we have, last but not least, Mr. Dyno.
Hey.
So, we got some subjects. We're going to go from Sesame Street to Colorado to Ukraine and Russia and some laws that are passing. We're going to be all over the place talking about all kinds of things. I'm going to bring out my phone because it's easier for me to see your guys' comments than having to look across this table to the little tiny screen that's on the other side of this.
Little tiny screen.
No. So, let me log on here, and then I'm going to give my shout-outs or shout-outs to whoever's commenting. Who do we see, Tino? Who's on here?
I'm looking myself. Lisa, hey, how you doing?
Hello.
American Chicano, what's happening?
Orale.
Bread Alive, Javier 209. Who else we got there? Empty Tomb checked in real early, man. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing today?
Yeah, Bread of Life. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba.
Hope y'all doing fantastic, phenomenal, spectacular, and all them pretty words.
Yeah. I'm
All
eating the
mixed up
very
in
worst
one
lunch
bowl.
you could ever eat. I'm starving.
What is that?
A Milky Way, a grape soda, and there's a little tiny bag of chips.
But he got the water right there with it
But see, that's not going to work.
Why?
to wash it down.
You needed a Snickers.
There wasn't
Why,
any.
is he a diva?
So that way he doesn't turn to a Betty White.
So, we're going to get right into this, man. I just got back from Kansas, so I haven't been able to keep up on a lot of things. I know Angel got some subjects. You got a subject. The couple that I knew about, you already listed, so I would have put the same thing anyways. And why is my phone... Is it...
There we go. This thing finally kicked
I was hoping
on.
Justin would be here. I sent like 3 uploads.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Is he coming?
Yeah. He texted me. He's in traffic.
Oh, okay. But he's safe. He's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. He just texted me right now.
All right. So anyways, guys, want to talk about one that you don't have the clips for yet?
Sure.
Since he's not here?
You know, one of the things if you want to start off with, let me see here.
I'm telling you.
We can talk about Russia and Ukraine. I don't have any clips on that, but I know that's been
Well, my understanding is, I don't know the full thing. They were talking about it this morning, but basically Ukraine bombed Russia to where Russia is saying it's the equivalent to Pearl Harbor. Whether that's true or not, there's a lot of things that I'm like, wait a second, Pearl Harbor was a surprise. They're at war, so it's not as, but regardless, I think what's happening is justification, because here's what's scary about that, is that how did Pearl Harbor end? It ended with us dropping 2 nukes.
and I think that was the insinuation. That was their attempt to insinuate.
Yeah, I mean, Putin ain't dumb. He knows what he's saying, But basically, they bombed or whatever, and his air base or destroyed a bunch of planes or something.
40-something bombers.
Yeah. And so some were saying, well, you destroyed the guy's bomber, so now you just leave him no choice but a nuke. But that's I don't know if I agree with that statement either.
It reminded me of the movie Pearl Harbor.
You know what I'm watching? I was watching it on the airplane on the flight back. Was Midway.
Okay.
I didn't finish it. I'm like 40 minutes in, and it was really good.
You want me to tell you how it ends?
Yeah, I know how it ends. Have you seen it, though?
Yeah.
Is it good?
Yeah.
What I watched so far is really good. But anyways.
I'd like to see it again.
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
But no, remember after the movie Pearl Harbor, after Pearl Harbor, and then they went to retaliate.
Yeah.
And they started dropping bombs on the factories and their planes and everything else.
Yeah.
But from my understanding, they released drones, and it was drones that was dropping bombs.
Yeah, that's what I was confused, and I didn't get a chance to really investigate what it was saying. But yeah, they said it was drones, a drone attack.
Yeah, it was a drone. Yeah. It was a drone attack, on there, and But then, and so then the question became as far as where did, I guess they had been planning this allegedly for over a year. And now it was like, okay, how did they get the money to do this?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's the question. Because the United States.
That's the question.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because the United States, they've been dry. We haven't given them anything.
Of course not.
So.
Are you sure United States ain't?
Well, that's exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the question was like, okay, was this our, again, proxy war?
Yeah.
Or was somebody else funding them? Because for them to be willing to do that,
mm-hmm.
that, in the middle of peace talks, that's like you guys finally squashing a fight and then walking, about to walk away, and then you sucker punch the guy that you just, calm things down with.
Well, that's the thing I heard Patrick Ben David bring up. He says, the fact that he did that, who's backing you, dude?
Yeah.
And he brought up a subject like I remember, like our older brother, if something really got down or really crazy in the neighborhood, a couple times I had to call my older brother, and there's certain things I probably wouldn't have said or did unless I had the insurance that I could call my older brother.
Yeah, yeah.
And so who's the big brother of Ukraine? Who's funding it? Who gave him the bravery to think this little... Anyways, I don't know. That's just one way of thought. I don't know if that's the right way to think, but real quick, shout out to Empty Tomb for the $5 for the super chat. Thank you, brother. It does keep the Wi-Fi going. Well, in your way, rocking. And Felipe Flores Jr. Felipe Flores Jr. Thank you for the $5, brother. God bless you. He said Russia has the Satan missile. Mm-hmm. Look it up. Never heard of that.
What is that?
It's a whole lot. I just looked it up right now, and it's a big old huge missile, just to say the least. Like he said, look it up. I mean, I can. It's a. It's not just.
Is it?
It's a deadly one, man. It's one of the big. It's one of the big boys.
But why do they call it that? I'm just out of curiosity. Other than, is it the obvious or?
I'm guessing it's probably the obvious. It's going to send you to meet Satan.
Wow.
I'm guessing it is, man. You know what I mean? So, I saw a little. You know what's really sucks about social media is you see little clips. If you're not paying attention, you've never seen them before. You don't know when they happen. So you could see they could be reposting something that has been going on that happened 6, 7, 12 years ago. You know what I mean? So I saw a clip today where it showed Obama and Putin sitting there talking. You know what I mean? And it was just like, what are you doing talking to each other? But again, I don't know how old that clip is. If it's recent, Putin, why are you talking to that guy? You know what I'm saying? And it's pretty interesting that, because I had seen the same thing and I thought the same thing as far as who's funding you to do what you're doing. Yeah. That's the whole thing.
Empty
right?
Tomb says it's an acronym, SATAN.
Yeah, so what's the acronym?
But still, it's a word. It's a word play.
Yeah.
It's a word it's a play on words.
Yeah. So it's just like, it's a whole lot, man, going on with them too. And it's just very, very unfortunate, because some do need to die. But for all of those over there that don't, I mean, it just sucks because it's something, again.
There's Carl.
We live in this. Carl! We live in this wonderful, pretty world of ours, man, over here in United States of America. Yeah. And so very, very fortunate, man. We don't see what they're seeing, bro. You know what I mean? It's very sad.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, that's the part that I'm just kind of, I don't want to say puzzled because that'd be, I guess, kind of ignorant. But with Ukraine.
Yeah.
Like, why are you still trying to fight? Unless there's an alternative agenda, which we know that there must be.
I wonder how that meeting went. They're saying right here about Putin, Zelensky, and Trump are meeting in Turkey.
They are?
Yeah.
When?
I don't know exactly when, but they're supposed to be meeting in Turkey sometime. This article was written today, so I mean, it must be either today or sometime this week. Turkish president, however you say his name, described it as a great meeting. Oh, they already met. He hoped to bring together Russia, Putin, Zelensky for a meeting with Trump, but there was no breakthrough on proposed ceasefire that Ukraine. It's, you know what it is? Man, dude, Zelensky, man, that dude's a trip.
Yeah.
That dude's a trip. Why are you doing that?
I have a feeling that because Putin he seems like old school, right? He's like very masculine, this and that. And he knows Zelensky, like, dancing in high heels was an actor. He probably doesn't take him serious. Like, this dude's a clown.
He probably takes Zelensky as seriously as he would have taken Kamala.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
exactly.
I that's how I see it. But I think the only reason why he hasn't blown up Ukraine is because of Trump, in my opinion. I really do. I don't care what anybody says. I really do think that the reason why he hasn't blown Ukraine up yet, man, is because of Trump.
What I really want is if Trump would ever meet with Zelensky and Putin, I'd want him to say this.
Look at it, two little sissies.
Sorry, got to do it. So,
Look at him.
wow.
But you know, here's been my question from the beginning, prior to Trump getting elected. Why, if he had the capability to drop nukes, Putin, why didn't he do it during those 2 years, during that time frame, prior to Trump coming in?
He doesn't want to.
I don't think he wants to.
Exactly.
Well, here's the thing, though, is that I don't know what portion of the Ukrainian people consider themselves Russian. Mm-hmm. So if he nukes them,
he nukes his own people.
He nukes his own people. You know, and I think it has to be probably part of it. You know, because I have a feeling the reason that he even has a leeway in there is because many of those people consider themselves behind enemy lines. They consider themselves Russian.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
There's a large population that claims Russia, not Ukraine.
Yeah.
You know, because Justin, when did Ukraine become a country? Do you remember?
Well, it depends what time. It's either the 90s or during 1917. It kind of depends.
What's the difference between 1917
Well, that's when,
and after World War II?
after World War II, it was part of the Soviet Union.
Yeah, it was part of the Soviet Union. So 32 years ago. It's a fairly new country.
It's new.
It's only 32 years old, I believe.
Yeah, okay.
Along with the other stands.
So when
Uzbekistan
the Soviet
and all of
Union fell, everything was divided.
Yeah.
Ukraine became a nation.
Because in the same way Africa is a continent of many nations, Europe is a continent of many nations, the USSR was a continent of many nations. Mm-hmm. Now it's just Russia, but before it was all of those together.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, to put it simple for me, it's like Mexico wanting California and Texas and, you know, Arizona back and New Mexico back, and it wants it back, and then it says, you know, most of our people are over there, and then them nuking here. That wouldn't make no sense. Yeah. You know, and so for me, that's how I see it in my head, why he doesn't nuke Ukraine.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't know how long we're going to talk about that, but
It's just sad. I mean, the estimation of how many deaths,
yeah,
you know, is just, it's crazy. And
I think, I want to know what Zelensky's agenda is. I think it's way much more than he's leading on. I think it's way much more than we even know. I don't think anybody knows unless you're sitting in that room, who you talk to, who you sold your soul to. I think Zelensky really don't care about any of his people. And there's something on the higher end that he's looking at that he got promised. And once he does whatever he needs to do, he's going to get whacked. Mm-hmm. And that's what it is, because you're a sissy that dances around to Madonna songs, like the dude from Silence of the Lambs whenever he was dancing like this.
yeah.
That's Zelensky. And so it's just like, I'm sorry, bro. Like, you got something up your sleeve that none of us know. This is what we know right here, what we see.
Yeah. So real quick, Josh and Crystal Garcia, he says, I don't think a lot of them think that, but I can be wrong. I only say that because I knew a pastor from Ukraine, and they were like, oh, no, we're not Russian. Grace International, we have a cluster of churches there in Ukraine ourselves. So my understanding is there's a portion, the side that's closer to Russia, that those people consider themselves Russian. So it depends on where that pastor you're talking about was from, because the pastor that we are, that's that's a representative of the other grace path. So we have grace churches in Ukraine. I think they're on the western side of Ukraine,
Which
but I
would
think
be,
the
yeah.
eastern consider themselves Russian.
Yes, same thing. I have a pastor friend of mine. He's Ukrainian. She's Russian. And so in our conversations, kind of the same thing. That doesn't mean the whole country feels that way.
Yeah.
But there is a section of a large population of people
Yeah.
that do.
So, I mean, perfect example. Let's come back to the thing. If Mexico wanted to fight for
Yeah.
the western states, there's a lot of Chicanos that would side with Mexico. There's a lot of Chicanos that say, no, I'm American.
Yeah.
So you'd have that same difference here.
Yeah, I don't want this to be Mexico.
No, me either.
No way.
Did you see that band that they found?
Like a playing band?
Yeah, there's 5 of them. They were young people. They were a band. They went down there. They got booked for a private session or whatever.
In Mexico?
Yeah, by the border.
Okay.
Yeah, they found all 5 of their bodies burnt. They're executed.
Where?
By the border.
No, I know, but like what state? What area? Do you know?
One of the borders
One of the borders.
from America to Mexico. One of those,
Well,
bro.
you know what that teaches us? That they don't like boy bands.
That's messed up.
Oh, man.
Let me see. No, for real though. Let's see.
Was Chalino part of a boy band?
Chalino.
Yeah, here it is. Police.
I'm just kidding for the family. I'm just sorry.
It's called Grupo Fugitivo, or Fugitive in English. Police in Mexico have detained a man known by the alias M47, whom they suspect of ordering the murder of members of the band. The bodies of 4 musicians from the band and their manager
I heard of that.
were discovered on Thursday in Tamaulipas. Oh, yeah, it's over there toward Texas because that's the Gulf Cartel.
Okay.
Tamaulipas State, 4 days after the men had been reported missing. So they were missing for 4 days. So it's 4 musicians and a manager. And they got booked who played at parties and local dances in the region, and they found their burnt bodies. So, yeah.
I'm shocked they found the bodies.
Yeah, unless
It's probably a message.
Yeah.
usually it's a message.
Usually a message.
Because most of the time, you ain't finding nothing.
No.
Unless they want you to.
Yeah.
Unless it's a message.
Unless it's a message. Unless it's a different kind of a wheeler.
Yeah. Unless it's a message, bro. So-
Justin, do you have that stuff uploaded? Oh, you do?
We're going to keep it moving?
Yeah, I wanted to just throw, but there's one that was an encouraging video. Did you see that? It was I titled them. It's not necessarily a conversation so much, but I seen this on the internet,
Yeah.
and I was like, I wanted to just show it. And pause it when you start. Like, okay, pause it. And I don't know if you guys have seen this.
No, I haven't.
Okay, this brave little girl failed her stunt with her coach, and he encouraged her to try again.
Okay.
And I just thought it was beautiful for this little kid.
So this
and
is
the
a coach.
A coach.
Okay.
Master, don't wait for luck. Dedicate yourself and you go find yourself. Standing in the Hall of Fame.
Did you start over?
And the world's gonna know your name.
Start it over. Start from the beginning.
I don't think it lets you.
Oh, then hide it. The screens. I don't want them to see it. It was supposed to go from the beginning. I'm trying to encourage you to go to the beginning.
Josh says they were probably singing about someone in the cartel maybe said too much. That's usually what happens.
Yeah.
Like I said, Chalino.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. His story.
They told him, though, they said if you perform,
Yeah.
it'll be your last performance, and he performed anyway.
I mean, what was he going to do? That's Chalino. Look at
I
everything
know.
he did.
I know.
What was he going to do? He had no choice. I mean, he did. Please don't give me... Yes, I know everybody has a choice, so I don't want to go through it. But if you know what I mean, you know what I mean.
Tell me when you're ready, Justin. Play it from the beginning.
It was?
Okay. Now let's play it again.
Oh.
Oh, she failed.
It's muted.
You can throw your hands up, you can beat the clock, you can move a mountain, you can break rocks.
No, let it play. Let it play.
Don't wait for
No,
luck.
no.
Dedicate yourself and you go find
Oh, yeah.
Standing in the Hall of
She's crying. She failed, and then all.
Fame. The world's gonna know your name.
Sing one more time.
Yeah.
You could be the hero, you keep it gold. Breaking over records you thought never could be broke. Yeah, do it for your people, do it for your pride. You never gonna know if you never even try. Do it for your country, do it for your name. But there's gonna be a day when you're standing in the Hall of Fame. Yeah. And the world's gonna know your name. Cause you burn with the burning flame.
No, I just seen it today, and I just thought of our kids. I just thought of what, like, for a little girl, you know, and having a, you know, just like a safe, you know, I thought of whether it was a coach or a father or an uncle, whatever, just having that safe person encourage you, what that would mean to that little girl.
Well, I mean, even deeper, isn't that what the Father in heaven does?
Exactly.
When we fail, we're over here freaking out, and He's like, "Do it again.
Get up.
Get
Yeah.
up. Do it again."
Yeah,
Come on,
I
you can
just
do
liked
it.
the video. I just wanted to show it, just encourage somebody, you know, keep moving, keep
Yeah.
going forward, do it again.
That's good.
That's very good, man. I bet you somebody needed to hear that. Get back up and do it again. I
Yeah.
believe that the Bible says that the righteous or the wise man falls down 8 and gets up 9.
Yeah.
I believe somewhere that's a proverb.
Yeah. Felipe says the death threat was Chalino.
Yeah.
Yeah. You actually see him read the
Yeah.
note on the stage.
You could see his face going,
Yeah.
"Oh man, I'm dead."
Yeah.
And then did everything he had to do. Well, not had to, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Let's have that talk.
TED Talk.
Well, I did have I did post or sent the videos of the Boulder, Colorado situation.
Yeah. You want to talk about it first or show the video first?
Well, you know, we have a close friend of ours that just arrived about 24 hours before. They live about 30. Her mother lives there about 30 minutes away. So she was there when she was 30 minutes away when it happened. So
Yeah.
we called her, and they had much more information locally than they did obviously on the news and everyone else, because on the news everyone was saying they didn't know who it was. They had a man. They weren't sure. And then I heard it was a white man.
Yeah. I saw that one.
And then and so all, but none of it fit until and it wasn't until that day. It was probably like 6 o'clock, 6 or 7, that we had talked to him on Sunday, and she was like, "No, it was a Middle Eastern man."
So in case any of you don't know what we're talking about, there was a man that was basically made a homemade flamethrower or Molotov, whatever, and was burning
With rubbing alcohol, I
Jewish
think.
women, older Jewish women, my understanding. All women?
10, I believe, yeah.
I don't know if it was all women. I'm not sure.
Either way,
just
he
know it was
was
a Jewish
basically hitting them with the flamethrower, you know, homemade one, and caught them on fire. And so then they come out and find out some more stuff about him.
But they weren't trying to say it was a hate crime. They weren't trying to say
That he was an illegal immigrant.
yeah, and that he wasn't Middle Eastern. It was you know, I just heard male, white,
Yeah.
unknown, and all this stuff, and that's why I was like, and then Jerry was like, no, it was a Middle Eastern man.
Yeah.
And you know, and the people that were burnt were Jewish protesters protesting for
Israel.
Israel. And then that's when everything else starts coming out. You want to show the video? This video first is kind of right in the middle. So the man's in the background.
Yeah.
And you will see flames. You don't see the bodies, but you will see the bodies on the ground and people trying to help them.
Wow. Says Egyptian. He was Egyptian.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, look at that smoke.
Stay.
You see the people on the ground as they're trying to put them out.
Yeah.
And you'll see the man with no shirt. That's the man.
Yeah, way in the back. Do they not realize he's still standing there?
I don't know.
He's just literally standing there.
Holding 2 Molotov cocktails.
That's crazy.
Now show the photo, Justin. No, the next one. No, did I sent a photo of it? Showed him.
Oh, separate file.
Yeah, right there.
There he is.
Just out in the open. And that's why it's like, you have all that information at the arrest. I seen the first press conference. If that was a different situation, all of that would have been addressed that quick. If it was a white officer and a black protest, all of that information would have been out.
So you're saying they omit?
Yeah. It's kind of like what happened. We were talking last week about Seattle.
Yeah.
An hour later, the mayor gives an official statement without even having all the information. And yet he was willing to go into details of incriminating the Christians that were there. But yet this happens and it's hands off.
American Chicano says he came in 2022 on a visa, and he tried to apply for asylum. What's even more troubling is that not one man or men tried to stop him. I was just thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Why was he just standing there?
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was just women as far as at the protest, and some of the men that were there were maybe walking by. But they were putting bodies that were on fire out.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
So this is interesting, is that there's a government official, I don't know if it's from that state or from the government, that immediately when this happened, this is weird, they want to put stricter laws on guns.
Yeah, he wanted to put gun laws.
He did not use a gun. And to even further it, did you know that he tried to get a gun? So this man tried to get a gun, and because he didn't pass, because he's not a citizen, they didn't give it to him. So the fact that he didn't have guns shows that gun reform laws that are in place already work. But here's my other question. Was that not a red flag? Is there not a system that somebody that is an immigrant is trying to buy guns and he's here illegally? Why was he not flagged?
I had heard, I don't know if I heard on a video or an interview or read I don't remember, an article, but one of them said that the FBI had been tracking him for the past year.
Oh, yeah?
That they were aware that of the possibility. And it's like, okay, so you're tracking this dude for a year. You obviously didn't track very well.
Yeah.
And Colorado's the same state that, if you remember, when ICE went in and take over as far as that apartment complex that illegal immigrants had taken over, all those protesters stood out in front. And so you just have all of this stuff. And I've been to Colorado. Colorado's pretty liberal.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't understand how the Jewish population.
I was just in their airport yesterday.
The Jewish population is getting smaller and smaller, and yet everyone's crying out Zionists and that the Jews are ruling the world and taking over, and that they're the corruption of everything. I think there's corrupt people in any ethnicity. I think we can find them in all, but it's crazy. And then stuff like this happens, and it's like, and I don't understand how the media covers it up to a degree until that's exactly.
Just report the news.
Why do it unless you're Jake Tapper and you're holding it for 3 years?
I remember growing up where the news was the news. Like now it's all opinion, and honestly, it's on both sides. I'm just like, can I just get the news without your opinion? Can I get the news without your point of view of whatever agenda you want to help push? Like, can we just get the news of what happened?
Yeah.
And that gets frustrating, man. That gets really frustrating.
Well, that's why I said here a while back when I said, can you teach history? Can history be taught without bias?
No.
That's a hard thing to do. Exactly. It's like there's going to be, even if you're not biased.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, just even if let's say you don't have, you're just getting information, you're just giving information or statistics or numbers. That doesn't mean that the source of that information is not biased. We don't have Aztec writings.
History is written by those that win.
That's my point. Exactly. So how do you have unbiased in history when the winners are the ones that wrote it?
So when you ask that question, it's yes, it can be taught. Is it taught?
Yeah.
No. Is it taught non-biased? No. It's always an agenda to make whoever you feel. If you grew up with, I don't know, dude, I'm not going to get into it. But no, it really, really can't, dude. It's very bad. I think I've even said it on the show. Should history still continue to be a subject in school? And I've said, no, it should not. Because most people are like, if you don't learn history, then what's it going to do? It's going to repeat itself, right? That's the saying. But look at what it's doing anyway. It's been repeating itself. As a matter of fact, the Bible says that there's nothing new under the sun. So look how long it's been repeating itself. The problem is that it's getting worse because people are coming up with new horrible things to do. And then these people who read about those people take that horrible and then multiply it. Then it's even more horrible. So you're not learning anything. You're not trying to stop doing something. You're just increasing it all the time. I was listening to Ben Shapiro yesterday, and I was listening to something that he was saying. And it was like when you listen to racism, right? So at one time, none of us have seen racism in the way that it was at one time of life, right?
Yeah.
Where we were just walking down the street and you're getting beat down for the color of your skin. We ain't never seen that. I don't know about you guys, but I know I haven't, right? I've only seen it on movies, on The Color Purple. So the thing about it is like, but somewhere along the line within the last 16 years or so, the media just took its agenda and started saying this and saying this and saying this. Oh, one cop killed a black person. One white cop killed a black person. 2 white cops killed 1 black person. So on and so on and so on. And that's what they're doing. That's what's going on in today. What really trips me out about this article, and this is a BBC, so I really don't even like the BBC, to be honest about it. But the thing about it that's really tripping me out here is that this man, I believe it was American Chicano that said that he came in 22 and his visa expired in 23. So for the last 2 years, this dude has been here full on. You shouldn't be here. But then the guy's 45 years old, told whoever that he studied how to make, the Molotov, right?
Yeah, they have on the internet that he was looking it up, how to do it.
Yeah.
Really?
And so, like, he did that.
That's not a flag?
Yeah, dude. The other thing is that he was yelling out, I want to kill all Zionist people. That was the other thing while he's standing there. You know, I got the picture here like you showed up there about how he's just standing there with the bottles, right? Yeah, man, this is just a trip. Oh, and then it says down here that so sorry, I apologize. Please forgive me. The FBI is continuing its investigation, but is not tracking any credible threats to the Boulder community at this time. Mark.
So saying he's like a lone wolf.
Yeah. Michael X, special agent.
There's nobody else that thinks like him at all ever, right?
In charge of the FBI's Denver, U.S. Homeland Security.
Yeah.
Christie earlier said her department was working with interagency partners, including the FBI, and would share more information when it becomes available. I mean, it's very, very sad. It's it's horrible. It says that there was 8 people who were hurt, victims, 8 people running from the age of 52 to 88.
Wow.
One of them is a survivor of the Holocaust.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. One of them is a survivor of the Holocaust. And it's just like, this is wild, man. Like, just to think, man, I remember when I was sitting in the hospital after the heart attack, and the first heart attack, and I had COVID, right? And I was sitting there, and I'm like, really, God? This is what it is? After everything, after the bullets, after this being jumped, you're gonna take me out on COVID? You know what I mean? And I'm sure, and I make a joke about myself, but this is crazy. This person lived through the Holocaust.
Wow.
And this is what they had to go through. You know what I mean? Here, they probably thought they were safe as can be, and this is what's going on. But, I mean, hey, man, when you're not...
You would think, how much more safe can you be than the center of the nation?
Yeah. You're not...
Crazy.
They weren't in Denver.
Oh, it wasn't... Oh, yeah.
It was Boulder.
Boulder.
You know, they weren't in San Francisco. They weren't L.A., downtown.
Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle, Portland, downtown.
New York.
Protesting in known violent, conflict areas. No, they were in Boulder, dude. A bunch of ladies, I guess. Apparently, it was all women. Is that what the article?
It says four women, 4 men.
Oh, okay.
So there was.
But
8.
they were all. I know they were all older.
It says from the ages of 52 to 88. So let me see if it says what they were protesting for. But yeah, they seem to be older.
It was just a peaceful protest for Israel.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, it was releasing the last of the hostages.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it doesn't say that on here on this one right here.
That's what I heard.
A group of people had gathered for a regularly scheduled weekly peaceful event, which was organized by Run for Their Lives, an organization that raises awareness for Israeli hostages still held in Gaza. Mm-hmm. So that's exactly what it was, a peaceful event. So they weren't even trying to, they were just, I don't know.
But what he used, like when I heard that, at first I heard Molotov cocktails, and I'm thinking, okay, ex-military guy, whatever. But then you hear he was using rubbing alcohol. And it's like, you really got to go out of your way to look at and see what you can buy just across the counter.
Yeah, at Walgreens.
And put this together so that way you can hurt these people.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Like you purposefully looked for other routes and other ways to do this. Like that's just.
I mean, it also shows his chumpness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You picked these elderly people.
Yeah.
You didn't go nowhere where there was people who could beat you up.
Yeah. And notice he didn't have a shirt on. He didn't want to catch on fire. It was planned. There's just so much premeditation there.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's crazy. That's unfortunate, man.
Yeah.
Well,
what's next?
Justin, I threw up some stuff about Elon, and my question that I threw out to you guys was, did Elon quit or was he fired? And then this morning I seen a tweet that Elon posted from his page. So there's that's his tweet. No, right there. Can you expand it so that way? Is it possible? If not, that's fine.
No, we read it. Yeah.
Okay. It says, "I'm sorry, but I can't stand it anymore." This is this morning. "This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who have voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it." Mm-hmm. And then under his tweet, somebody put, "Can you please explain to me what you mean by that?" And then go to the next one right there. Is there any way to blow that up? So this is Gonk where they explain.
Yeah.
And it says the FY 225 congressional spending bill, which is the big, beautiful bill, including H-Con Res 14 and AR 1968 totals, $1.6 trillion discretionary spending, $895 billion in defense, $711 billion non-defense. Critics like Musk call it pork-filled due to funds for specific regions or industries like agriculture and pharma, suggesting waste. Supporters argue its funds essential services like defense, health, and infrastructure, preventing government shutdowns. Evidence shows both potential wasteful spending and necessary allocations, leaving the debate unresolved without clear transparency. And so now you have all like these rumors of, with Elon, he was fired. Drug addiction is one of the things I've heard, because they were asking other people in the cabinet, did you ever drug test him as a contractor? And some of the videos kind of evade the question. But
his time was limited from the beginning, though.
Whether that was relevant or not, they never answered the question.
Yeah, because even then, before Trump was even president, the thing was for him to come in for 100 days or 90 days or something like that, and that's it. Mm-hmm. So even that was stated way before anyways.
Yeah, it was a short period of time that he was going to be there. And so it was never anticipated. But now you see all of a sudden now he's relieved of duty. And then now you have these comments being very blunt against Trump's bills, which is fine. I don't have an issue with it. If you don't like, you don't have to agree with everything Trump says.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was just, then I started kind of listening to some different articles and
I mean, Drill Baby Drill is completely against Elon's cars,
yeah,
and he was still with them.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
One of the things that that came up in that was, I think Patrick. I heard Patrick and David talk about it this morning too. I heard some others discussing it as well. Was that Doge didn't retrieve as much as they thought they did. But why did they stop? Why did Elon stop in digging into some of the areas like defense, where we knew that there was a lot of corruption, but he went through that other process of going through that information? What information did he get? Again, I don't know. I'm not saying Elon's a bad guy. I'm not saying, but these are questions that have been floating around now.
Yeah, but I mean, I was all for everything Doge was doing, but I think that there's certain things, man. You're not going to be an Elon and get into the finances of our defense system. There's just stuff you're not going to and shouldn't have access to, honestly. I don't know. I mean, the guy's not even born here.
Yeah, no, he's not. He's not.
Yeah.
When I found out he was leaving, part of me was a little relieved because I was a little careful with Elon. I think he's a different person. He's a different individual.
Yeah. I mean, I liked everything they were doing.
Yeah.
If everything is the way they were saying.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, knowing exactly what goes what in defense.
Now, yeah.
And,
now
and,
looking
and you're
back,
not obligated.
yeah.
You're not at an oath for anything.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
You know. Yeah.
Now looking back, what are your thoughts? Mm-hmm. What are your guys' thoughts with Elon or all this other stuff? And especially, was it a ploy to get us to look over here? If after everything they said they found, they didn't find as concrete and as much as we were led to believe. I don't know.
I mean, who says he didn't though?
Yeah.
No, that he did find.
Yeah.
But not to what there was being said.
No, but who's saying not to?
Oh, there's a lot of articles out there. I don't know. I've multiple different conservative and liberal.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's just he say, she say.
Yeah.
It's all opinion. Of course, you know.
This is my opinion.
Yeah. Of course, when if people start taking your money that is guaranteed to you that you stole, right? Mm-hmm. We go rob a bank, and then David starts stealing that money from you. You're gonna talk some trash about David. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that example made sense, but basically what he did is he went in there, found out a whole bunch of stuff, right? We all agree that he went in there, him and his team, found a bunch of things, right? That weren't supposed to be there, and found some money. I mean, let's just be real about it.
Because we talked about it multiple times.
It was $6 million in condoms, bro, getting sent to over the other side of the world. So anyways, it's just, you find that stuff, you're going to be pissed off, man. I know those people who lost, look at the DOE. Every single one of them people are pissed because of what he found. Their slush money went away. So, I mean, I don't know, man. What's going on. It says here on this article that him and Trump never really talked about him leaving, like his exit out. Just like you said, I mean, are you going to agree with every single thing that Donald says? Absolutely not. But I also think Donald doesn't want yes men on his team either. You know what I mean? I bet you if he would have said the departure of the man who was once appointed himself Trump's first buddy was quick and unceremonious. He was leaving the administration according to the source with knowledge of the matter, who added that his exit was decided at a senior staff level. You know what I mean? People on the inside could have started talking trash, saying, hey, Trump's saying this or whatever. And, he's the guy who was always the outsider. I think I've said that. He was never the cool guy. And then he became cool. You know what I mean? And so now look at, you're on national TV, standing right next to Trump, doing all kinds of stuff. I don't know, man. Musk had been signaling his departure from Washington and his commitment to return to business ventures all week. He sharply criticized Trump's spending plan and expressed frustration with the response to the efforts of the signature department of government, Doge, the federal whatever situation is much worse than I realized, Musk told Washington. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's going on. How do I feel about it? I think it's very, very unfortunate, man. I really, really do. Because I think somebody like that knows what they're doing. I think Trump liked it too, what Elon was doing. And I don't know, man. Again, it's one of those things. Wish I could be a spider, in the corner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I liked where it was going.
I did too.
But I guess my question when I was just kind of thinking that through was, like, as a business owner. As a business owner, I had a lot of people that would tell me they knew how to do something. They had a certain skill, a certain craft in doing whatever, whether it was pavers or whatever, because we were a landscaping contractor. And they would tell me about they knew how to do all these certain skills. And they would say, well, can you pay me this amount of money because I know how to do this? And I said, why don't you show me, right? Show me that you can do it, and then we'll talk about it later. Because here was the reality. Anybody can point out a problem and anybody can do it with a clean surface. But do you know how to reverse engineer the situation when things are buried and things are already covered, and you can come to a solution when nobody else can?
Yeah.
And so my question is, I do want accountability. Okay, all this stuff came out. What did we do with it? We have this information. What did we do with it? I don't think it's just hearsay, because there is documentation of what was going to be found and what was not found.
That's right.
So at some point, that information does have to come out, and I want to know.
Right here, our poetic says, my assumption is they found it, but the political will wasn't there to actually do something about it. And
that's my question. Yeah.
And there's probably, he did find a lot of things, and that's exactly what I was thinking about. There's a lot of people who were put in place to block a lot of the things they knew Trump was going to want to go ahead and push forward. And so there's a lot of things that probably Elon doesn't agree with, as far as like throw them in jail, arrest them, fire them, something. And he doesn't like it.
He paid the price.
But this all
Elon.
Oh, yeah, he did.
He paid the price.
His company did.
Yeah, he did. A whole lot of money.
This says Musk had also recently expressed frustration to the White House officials over a deal between Abu Dhabi and OpenAI. The Sam Altman-led rival to Musk's own AI company, the New York Times reported. Musk had previously tried to derail the deal unless his company was included in it, according to the Wall Street Journal. So, I mean, there's another, like, maybe, you know what I'm saying? So there's, who knows? Having spent nearly $300 million to back Trump's presidential campaign and other Republicans last year, he said earlier the month he would substantially cut his political spending. I think I've done enough, Musk said to Qatar. Well, Musk told Trump advisors he would give $100 million to the groups. So, I mean, I don't know, man. How do I feel about it? It sucks, because I think he could have did a whole lot more if he would stayed there. Don't know what somebody told you. Hopefully he can go to a corner, talk to himself, and get back into the game. You know what I mean?
You know what's weird is that, let's talk Ruslan. And I'm going to bring it back to this. I'm not changing the subject. I'm using it as an example. I think that he does want to share biblical truths, but then you get pushback because when you talk about certain things, it gets no views. Mm-hmm. And because of that, there's this tug of war of, if I don't have a big channel, how can I share the word? But to have a big channel, I got to talk about this. And there's this.
You got to cater.
Yeah, you got to cater. So it's this pull. And I think that's natural. As unfortunate as it is, this is the world we live in. You know, and there's always compromise, no matter what. Mm-hmm. Now, compromise, let me say this. The definition of compromise doesn't mean a bad thing. It's when it becomes excessive, or if it changes the, how do I say it? What would be a good way to, if it makes you change what you originally were standing for. For instance, I started as a house church. There was 20 chairs. And I got to know everybody. I could invite everybody upstairs for dinner. The whole congregation, because it was 20 chairs.
Yeah.
And then when I went from that to a building, I had to compromise that, knowing that if I get a bigger building, I can't just invite everybody in my living room anymore. So there was so it wasn't necessarily a bad thing, but there was a compromise. And when you go from that to 50, to 100, to 200 people, what happens when the 400? You know, but here's the thing: as long as you stay true to who you are, but as sooner or later, that is going to get very blurry.
Yeah.
Now let me bring it back now to Musk. The Doge thing. He has a company to run. Mm-hmm. He's backing up a president that wants to drill, baby, drill, but he's trying to push electric cars. Somewhere along the line, there's what you want to happen and what you want to make to happen for that person, but there's a tug of war pull. You know, and I think I saw this coming from the beginning, and I thought, man, that's crazy that he's backing him up. I was glad he was backing him up, but that's a trip he was backing him up because you have electric cars.
Yeah.
But yet you want to get Trump, you know, to be president who's pushing for oil.
And and face it, realistically, Trump probably would not have won without Elon's support. So that was a big deal. It was a really big deal.
Yeah.
Now, could he have won? Sure. Did he? I don't know. We can't prove that.
Did you say did he?
Got him.
He did it. And but yeah, I mean, because when I was coming across this, I read his tweet and everything else. I wanted to bring it up just because I voted for Trump. I'm still in this I'm in this for the long haul. I like where it's going, and I still think we have time for that kind of information to come out and it to be legit and decisions to be made with how those funds and all of that's going to be.
Yeah.
Because it's not just impacting this year, but it's going to impact the next few years as well. So I'm good with that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I didn't want us to be just an echo chamber of Trump.
No. Me either.
And if there's things to be critiqued, we said we would talk about it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it. You know, that we don't have to be yes men either.
Yeah, because like even the thing was like, okay, voting for Trump. I'll tell you one thing I disagreed back then. It wasn't a big deal, so it doesn't change how I voted. But I thought it wasn't smart to keep saying, I'll end the Ukrainian war in one day.
I know.
Why? Because I don't even know Putin. But I'm just like, but I understand. You know how you said they're gangsters?
We've tweeted back and forth a couple times. That's about it.
I understand how gangsters think. And if somebody says, hey, man, if I get chosen president, then this dude's going to quit doing what he's doing, I would have been like, is that right?
Yeah, watch me. I'll punk him in a day.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, I don't even know Putin, but I'm just like, I would take that bad. And you kept repeating it over and over and over and over. It'll be over in a day. I felt that was a mistake on Trump's part. But that didn't change my vote.
Yeah.
Because there was so many other things that he was going to bring in place. And then you're thinking Kamala. Oh, my God. You know what I mean? So, ay que mala. You know, so, but yeah, that's one thing I didn't agree with. You know what I mean? So I wasn't like Trump all the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's things I'm like, dude, you shouldn't be saying that, bro. You shouldn't be saying that. You know what I mean? And look what happened. So he's literally in the middle of peace talks. Now he feels... Here's what sucks is he put Putin in a position to not be punked.
Yep.
But now you put yourself in a position to not be punked because they're both not listening to you now. You know what I mean? And that's a problem because it's like he's hearing this from that.
Yeah.
And he should have been hearing this.
Look at it, two little sissies.
But now he's put himself in a position now to look bad to the world. And that's unfortunate. But I mean, you know.
I mean, how many things has Trump said?
Yeah, a lot.
Even before President Trump. They just Donald Trump, right?
Bombastic stuff.
You know what I mean? How many things has Trump said over the years, man? All our life, right? So, but the other thing is, too, I understood what he was saying because, yes, he shouldn't have said that. I get where you're coming from with that. But at the flip side, you know what else he said? The war would have never began if he was president. And I believe that.
Yeah.
I don't think that war would have started. I don't think it would.
I agree.
No,
I
it
don't think.
wouldn't have.
Yeah, I agree.
Because he would have, as the old saying is he would have nipped it in the butt. No diddy. So the thing about it is like,
Did he say no diddy?
yeah. So the thing about it is like I get what he was doing there, and I really do think because of the friendship
Yeah.
that him and Putin have, the respect that him and Putin have.
Yeah.
I don't know where to connect that sound to.
That's Diddy. Remember?
It's called the Diddy.
That's called the Diddy. So, like, it's like the way we started off. This isn't Putin.
Yeah.
This is not Putin. This is Zelensky. And Trump is looking at Zelensky like, look, bro, what are you doing? And so that's the problem right now.
Yeah.
Is Zelensky.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? Because when Trump got in there, Putin, the second day, there was already a meeting between Putin and Donald Trump, President Trump. So, I mean, that tells you something right there. Putin wasn't about to sit with Kamala.
You know what's crazy? If you ever really try to look at it from Putin's end. The guy has been there for decades in power. Okay, you got Zelensky who was dancing in high heels on YouTube. And then you have President Trump, who's going to be gone in 4 years.
Yeah. 3.5
And he's
now.
the one that's been there for decades. So I'm not siding with Putin, but I'm just saying, I'm trying to see his mentality. And he's just like, am I going to get punked by somebody that's there temporary, that every 4 years they change, and this dude that dances in high heels is Ukrainian leader?
Snorting lines at night.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm not going to say I agree, but
Allegedly.
I get it.
Allegedly.
I get it. You know what I mean? So, I don't know, man.
There it is. Like that. You got to do that when you do that. So, I don't know, man. So, I do understand. Like I said, I hope that Elon can go find God.
Yeah.
Find God, bro.
I just don't want it to get bad.
I don't want him to become like, I don't want it to start, he starts using his platform and on X and start just bashing Donald and bashing the party, I can't think, the administration.
Yeah.
He just starts bashing and then he starts leaking because obviously, you know what I mean? He saw some things that the rest of us don't see.
There's a brother, Julio, in Texas, and he runs a men's home. Mm-hmm. And guys get out of prison or they want to get off drugs or whatever, and they go there, and they're there 4, 5, 6 months. And then if they get into disagreement with Julio, because he's trying to, dude, this is Christian, you can't bring drugs here. Or, stuff like that, they leave, and then they talk trash about him. So now every time somebody wants to leave, this is what he tells me. He tells them, he goes, hey, you want to leave or you're upset? Fine. He goes, that's fine. But do me a favor. For 6 months, did we treat you good? For 5 months, for 8 months, whatever long.
Yeah, however you were there.
Yeah. So can you not spread out whatever your reason, whether I'm wrong or you're wrong?
Yeah.
Can you give me that grace of the fact that when you were here, you were fed, you had a bed, you got discipled, I got you a job, I got you some clothes.
I tried.
You know what I mean? Can we just leave it at that?
Yeah.
So I think that goes to Elon. If there's an issue,
Yeah.
is dude, you did a lot of good. I'm glad for what you did.
A whole lot
But
of good.
don't give fuel to the other side, dude.
Yeah, don't
Because they
yeah.
called it already.
Yeah.
They called it.
Elon, and I believe that the left is because they've screwed up my brain so much that I blame them for whatever this is with Elon. Elon's about making history. Elon's about being out here all alone, doing things that nobody else has done. You know what I mean? Just look at everything he's created. You know what I mean? Everything he's invented. So, and like Elon needs to realize like he's part of some of the greatest 100 days of any president that sat in there in the first 100 days.
Solidify your history, dude.
Yeah, bro. Like you killed the game, bro. You came in and flipped worlds over. And like stand on that, bro. Like these kids are saying today, stand on that business, man. You know what I mean? And do that.
But that was my question. One of the other questions we were going to quickly hit was on that same note. What's your grade for Trump so far? Because Elon's legacy, he didn't finish. It came to the surface. A lot of stuff came to the surface, but now he's dependent on someone else finishing what he started.
Yeah.
And and so how do we grade that at this point? I never expected it all to be solved by now.
Absolutely not. I didn't even expect to see what we're seeing already by now.
To me, it's kind of like, I think you're pushing too much too fast, but maybe that's just me. Because it's kind of like you threw it all up in the air.
Yeah.
Can we get some stuff done?
But
But
if we're grading the border, A+.
You know what's interesting? Felipe said something interesting, and I want to talk about it. I don't really want to counter it, Felipe, but I do want to throw this thought out there, because he says Elon is all about Elon and Elon only. Are any of us about other people before us? I mean, let's be honest.
think about the church you go to. Think about the ministries you're a part of.
Can somebody, man, David's all, he fills his fridge up before anybody else's.
How dare you?
Yeah, so do you. Before you go fill my fridge, you're going to make sure your kids are fed.
Absolutely.
Right? That's, so
Yeah.
I'm not kind of going against you, Felipe, but I'm just throwing that out there, is that Elon is a billionaire. Of course, he's going to be his most biggest advocate.
Yeah.
And I think it shows more because he's a billionaire, but I think ultimately, somebody said this: every single politician from mayor all the way to president has to be a little bit narcissist, because they wouldn't, to be able to go to people and say, vote for me. There's already some psychological stuff already, whether it's Trump or Kamala or Bush or whoever, the governors. That's just the nature of the beast. Unfortunately, that's what it is until Jesus comes and the government rests on his shoulders. It's always going to be that way.
Even to anyone that's in leadership.
Yeah.
If you're a good leader, you have to have some confidence and self-confidence at that.
I mean, there's got to be something nutty about a pastor. I mean, let's be honest, though. Think about that. Okay, I'm going to pick up myself. There's got to be something that says, you know what? I'm going to start something so hundreds of people gather every week to hear me speak.
And follow.
That takes a special kind of somebody. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know what that is.
No, man, I'm not. I'm laughing at what you're saying, but
Am I wrong?
No. I think you're right on point with that. But all I can keep thinking about is Auntie Todd when you're saying that. That's all I can keep thinking about is Auntie Todd, man. Auntie Todd goes on there wearing those pimp outfits. I saw a clip the other day, man, where he was trying to say about how we don't care,
sister.
how we don't care about our temple.
Hello, sister.
My little sister.
And his whole thing was he had food and he was in a room and he was throwing it against the wall, and then he had some maple syrup and he starts putting it all over the Bible, and the crowd goes, ooh, and he was like, you guys don't care about that. Yeah. Then he puts
I see the photo. I didn't see the video. Though,
I was just like, and all I can think about is Auntie Todd, man. Like,
but
yes, you're 100 on that.
Felipe brought up a good point, and this is something we all have to remember. He says, to clarify, he is his own God.
Yep.
It's very clear he does not worship Jesus.
Absolutely.
I'd even say Luciferian. Good point, because as Christians watching this, you got to remember, if you are not for Christ, by default, you're of Satan. Him. So thank you, Felipe, for that, because I don't care who it is. That's why the whole thing about like Jordan Peterson or whatever, dude, you either stand for Christ or by default, you stand for the kingdom of darkness. No matter what, no matter how rich you are, no matter how good you speak, no matter what. So thank you, Dan, for that clarification, because that is very true.
And that's why, like with Elon.
Same thing with Trump.
What's your grade for him?
Trump does a lot of things that help Christians.
Yeah.
But ultimately, if he does not serve God, then he serves Satan.
I said, what's your grade for him?
Trump? I don't know. I would say probably a B minus.
I'd say a B minus.
That's probably about as far as I could go right now.
I give him a B.
B plus or B middle or B minus?
Yeah, just a B.
Just a B.
Just a B.
Just a B.
Taco stain.
Yeah.
Is that Carlos? Or somebody else?
So I give him a B because you know what? Like I said, if you're talking borders, bro, you're not gonna give him an A for what he's got his people put in place. You know you're giving him an A.
Remember our report cards? We would have different grades for different subjects, and then you get the full.
And then you get the average.
GPA.
Yeah, you get your GPA. So it's just like like I said, look at everything he's doing. 100 days, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not even in his 130 days, 150 days. He's still in the 150.
I'll tell you, this has been historical. It's been crazy.
I mean, dude, that's phenomenal stuff. And I think I had told you, like, all these people are like, oh, look at, he promised to do this. He promised to do that. And it's like, I didn't hear you crying when, I didn't see all these people on the news crying or people in small groups crying whenever whenever the administration of Biden raised gas $4 within the first 100 days, when grocery prices went up, all the things you want him to bring back down, I didn't hear you complaining about it when they went up.
Yeah, I bought an 18-pack of eggs for $7.
That's
That's
win.
all I was gonna say. I haven't had trouble getting eggs.
No way, bro. Gas, dude. I can still fill up my gas, dude, under $100.
It's still a little high, man. I'd like to see it go down.
Hey, man.
But that's California, not Trump.
That's right.
Yeah, because in Kansas, gas was cheap.
So was Texas.
Yeah.
Bro, I was paying premium.
Look at that. Look at
$2.97.
Anthony Toom. Let's send Trump his mid-year progress report grades.
Yeah.
Because
There
he
you
ain't
go.
even done with the semester yet.
Yeah, he's got 1 semester done, and he's got a 4-year program.
Yeah.
To graduate. So that's what I'm saying is like, let's
American Chicanos.
let's be objective. What do you? Go ahead, read it.
American Chicano, there's always a semblance of personal investments in what we do, whether in politics or business, even Christianity. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
100,
And you can't crucify somebody for it.
Name me one now. How many Christians write books and pay for it themselves and then pass it out for free?
Oh, yeah.
Right? At least cover the cost.
Yeah.
And it's just like in anything. It's like it's not it.
Yeah.
We when we think of things in certain ways, and it's like I get it though, but I like his point about Elon. That's all. That has been my apprehension with Elon. Was like, dude, you believe some weird stuff in that realm, and in that spiritual realm stuff, and it's like, dude, I don't know how much I can trust you.
Yeah.
I will say this too. Even the same thing with Vivek. Could I have voted for Vivek as president? And then I hear the conversation. It's like, well, he's not a Christian. Well, but it's Trump.
Yeah.
He uses God. But
Yeah, but and so it's just kind of like this thing. But I will say, something that PBD brought up this morning.
Mm-hmm.
How does Vivek look right now, with Elon now having so many questions, and Vivek now going for governor, but he was kind of thrown under the bus when that separated.
Vivek was in it for the long run.
Yeah,
Elon's not a politician, so he could crash and burn. He knew it. He got billions of dollars, dude. He can have the whole world hate him tomorrow, never buy nothing from him, and he's fine for the next 20 generations.
who's this?
Vivek.
No,
Elon.
Elon. Oh, yeah.
But Vivek was in it for the long run.
Yeah.
So that's that.
But he got the bad end of it.
Yeah. But
And-
I never looked at Vivek bad.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
But in the realm of how they looked, it elevated Elon.
Yeah.
Vivek got pushed kind of in the corner. Go be in the corner. We'll help you be governor.
Yeah.
Because I hope he runs for governor of Ohio. But at the same time, going back to even the presidential campaign, I'd go back and forth with people. I don't know if I could vote for Vivek just because of his open Hinduism.
Yeah.
For me to vote him as president and
Yeah.
his policies and all of that stuff. But then it felt hypocritical going, well, I'd vote for Trump. I don't think he's a tongue-talking believer.
I would have. I would look. He disappeared. Look, I would have voted for Vivek honestly because when I choose a president, remember when Daniel and them got taken captive into Babylon.
Our friend Daniel in Houston.
They got taken into Babylon, and God used the Babylonian king to do whatever God wanted.
That's perfect.
Right? What happened?
Oh, nothing.
Oh. And so that's how I saw it. I never saw Trump as a born-again believer
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah. No, me neither.
I've always saw Trump as a Babylonian king that was allowing Daniel
He was a Constantine.
to worship out the window.
Yeah.
Well, is that the wrong king?
No, I'm just saying.
But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. What I'm saying is Constantine, bringing in Christianity, legalizing and everything else. Was he really a Christian, altogether?
Yeah. And
I don't know.
But unfortunately, there's a lot of Christians / Trump lovers
Yeah.
that say that they will fight you if you say Trump isn't a Christian. And I'm just like, dude, I'm not voting for the dude because he's a born-again, speaking in tongues scholar.
Yeah.
He's being in the point where he's allowing the Daniels to pray outside the window.
Yeah. No, I agree.
That's it.
And that's why it's a B for me.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
of the freedoms of what he brought back and allowing and the pushback against, because no matter what.
Because even the rich have to bow to Jesus.
Yeah.
Even the powerful have to bow to Jesus. And if you don't, then I question it. But hey, if you let me bow down to Jesus, then I'm going to vote for you against the person that don't let me bow to Jesus.
And my vote for a B- is probably more selfish as a Christian than it would be if it was just if I'm looking at just policy.
The Persian king.
Probably. If
Thank you, brother.
If it was policy, I might say a C, because we haven't had very much.
Yeah.
And it might be a C-, just because, like whether it's Russia, Ukraine, and all we've seen was India and Pakistan. That was it.
Yeah. Was it Darius?
Darius.
Which one? For Daniel?
King Darius.
Yeah.
Daniel the king was Nebuchadnezzar.
Oh my gosh,
there's
Nebuchadnezzar. Yeah, it was.
But there's various kings.
There was a few of them.
No, there was
Darius
only
was
two.
Darius.
Darius was.
Which one was Artaxerxes? Who was that one? Was that
He was going to be. Daniel was there until Darius, but it was Nebuchadnezzar.
Originally.
Yeah, the whole time that Daniel got there, when they was like
And then he went
16
crazy.
or
And then
something like that.
Nebuchadnezzar's son with the writing on the wall, right?
But then him, and then Darius was the end. But Daniel was told that from the very beginning.
Yeah.
He was going to be there until Darius of whoever, blah, blah, blah.
But my point was that these ungodly kings were allowing godly men to do what they had to do. That's where my vote was all the time.
Xerxes
all the
with
time.
Ezra or Nehemiah.
Yeah, regardless of the fact. I am not praying for a Christian nation because there is no such thing as a nation that's Christian. It's a heart.
Yeah.
It's an individual thing. But it's somebody that stops me from worshiping God, I'm not going to vote for you.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, for me, like I said, it's probably more selfish.
Yeah.
If I voted policy, it'd probably be a C-,
Yeah.
at best. If I'm voting, if I'm voting about what I like and see of the potential as a Christian, I see the pushback that he's made against a lot of the different things that I like and I can appreciate.
Yeah.
Which give me in turn more freedom and us as the church to do some things and speak up. Like, we're not getting cut off of YouTube like we would have 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Some of the topics where we would have spoken the words, the algorithms would have picked it up and would have canceled these shows.
Yeah, my whole thing is to preach the gospel, reach as many people as I possibly can, and whatever's going to open that route for me is what I'm going to do. And that's it. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. So if for some reason Bigfoot came out of the woods and said he wants to be president,
I'd vote for Bigfoot.
I'd vote for him too. If he says, you know what, we're not going to shut down churches, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, dude, I'll vote for Bigfoot.
I'll tell you what, I would never want to do anything to step on his toes.
Ain't nobody stepping on his toes. American Chicano says, God chose Cyrus, the Persian ruler, to be God's instrument to deliver Israel from Babylonian captivity. Yes, sir.
I got a few minutes, so I'm going to touch on this real quick. I got to touch on this.
Do
man.
it.
Now I wasn't prepared. Okay, so anyways, these are for the Stanislaus people. So like Empty Tomb, it's kind of wrong of you flexing on your 279 for a gallon of gas, bro. That's just wrong. Why don't you come to Cali and see some of this misery, bro? So anyways, bro, that's love, man. Just kidding. But on a serious note, here for my Stanislaus, our local, where we're at, the Board of Education is at it again. They're trying to go ahead and they're trying to sneak in a curriculum to 5th graders, starting in 5th graders all the way up to high school. So this curriculum is called the AB Alpha Beta 908. It's not called Alpha Beta, it's just AB 908, okay? What this is talking about is puberty talk. And there's 2 different curriculums. There's one that's coming out. It's called Puberty Talk. This is the committee recommendation to the Modesto City School Boards. Then there's another one called Puberty, the Wonder Years. It identifies their curriculum as puberty education, then states puberty education is sex education. So they don't want to call it sex education anymore. They want to call it.
Change it.
They want to change it to now. What did I say? Puberty education. So basically what they want to start doing is through this curriculum, 5th grade teachers all the way up. So the 5th grade teachers will be talking about puberty talk. And then as you get older, you'll get into puberty talk, the wonder years. And then it starts to really, really get bad. And there's a video that I saw yesterday, and it's this woman who says that she dreams about women, but doesn't ever really mess with a woman outside of her dreams, so she considers herself straight. And I'm being very, very short about all of this. There's a lot more information. There's a homosexual man that says that he was attracted as a child, and that he talked to some people, and they said that it's okay. Then they get into this quote unquote pansexual nonsense and all of that kind of junk. Part of this curriculum, they will have language. One moment. I believe that one of the things that Doge found was millions of dollars, and I think it was going to India for the LGBTQ blah blah alphabet gang language. I wanted to read this. Hold on real quick. I'm so sorry. I apologize. Please forgive me. But it's very important that I read this kind of stuff. It figures, man, that right now I want to find it, and I'm not going to be able to, man. It really makes me mad.
The greatest trick.
So here we go. Puberty talk. This is the kind of stuff that they want to teach 5th graders so that way the language can understand. Agender, ally, asexual, bisexual, cisgender, fluid, gay, gender binary, gender spectrum, gender dysphoria, gender expression, gender identity, gender non-conforming, heterosexual, straight, intersex, lesbian, non-binary, pansexual, queer, queerphobia, so on and so on and so on. And this is kind of the stuff that they want to go ahead, and this is a curriculum that they want to talk. Now, the other crazy thing about this,
starting for 5th and 6th grade.
That's 5th grade will be learning that stuff. That's by the time they get to 8th grade, they'll already know this stuff.
So that's where it's starting and then progressing.
Yes. And then so the other thing is what they're trying to do in kindergarten is they want to start getting, this is a, side note over here. They won't, if you called to find out about this curriculum, they will not allow you to see it. But here in Modesto, you go over some building, blah, 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 blah. It's off of Reno Drive, and you can go into this building and you can read all of curriculums, whatever. But they are not letting anybody know about this stuff. Now, very fortunately for us, there's a woman that showed up, and we were able to hear her. Her name is, darn it, I didn't catch the name. I will give the name next week.
Is this from last night?
Yes.
That emergency meeting over there? You went?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't an emergency meeting. Where was the emergency
on McHenry.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, because I saw his face thing popped up on my thing saying,
did?
I need people to come. I need to talk about this, pastor.
So, this really triggered because of what we were talking about when you brought up for the IDs and what they're trying to sneak in. And so I believe I sent the text out saying that the homosexual community is at it again. One of the other things that they're trying to bring in is the genderbread man. I know that this has been trying to be
genderbread?
Genderbread. And I know this has been brought in before for kindergartners all the way up to 3rd grade, and it got denied, and they're trying it again. This is what it says. Gender is one of those things everyone thinks they understand, but most people don't. Gender isn't binary. It is not either or. In many cases, it's both. A bit of this and a bit of that. And that's the kind of stuff. And then they start talking about this kind of stuff. It's very, very horrible. There was one other thing.
That's crazy.
On these children will be taught about tampons, reusables, demonstrations. Demonstrations. Here is another one. I wanted to mention this, and then I'm done. Puberty over time. He defines all the gender and sexual slides. It's going to talk about that you can go ahead and you can talk about all kinds of different things. Another one of the things that they will be talking about in puberty talk for the 5th grader is masturbation and why it is okay and not a bad thing.
Yeah.
By the time they get to puberty, the wonder years, they're gonna start telling you about what oral sex is. They're gonna start talking, and the boys and the girls will be together, right? Mm-hmm. And so one of the things is, and I promise this is it. There's so much information that I took last night, and I'm not gonna bombard. If you guys want to know, how can they get a hold of us? Just hit the comments, and we'll talk about it. Or is there anything? This is for the Stanislaus County. If you are in Stanislaus and you are listening to us on June 9th, they're having a board and discussion. On the 23rd, they're putting it to vote. It's a discussion and a vote. And like I said, they're not
the school district.
Modesto City Schools.
Modesto City School
But
District.
if they get it there, then they're saying that they're going to be able to, all of Stanislaus, so Ceres, Houston, all of these little towns out here.
So is there a vote, or is there only a vote with city officials?
It's the board, unfortunately. That's why,
so parents have to be vocal to see.
Mm-hmm. And so it's more of like we need, so for like, I know like Empty Tomb, he's out there in Boston, right? And the thing about it is like, this is when prayer really plays into effect here. Like, obviously he can't do nothing about it because he's from over there. So the thing about it is but hey man, prayer doesn't know location. Yeah. And so this is the kind of stuff like, you know what, man, I don't have children in this game, bro. I don't. But you know what, man, at one time of life, bro, I'm going to have some grandchildren. Mm-hmm. And you know what I'm saying? You got a young one, and I know he's not going into the public schools and stuff like that.
Nope.
But the thing about it is there's still a public school out there, and it's very unfortunate of where this is going. And one of the things is that the three of us had said when you brought up about the ID was, you know what, man, we're going to start paying attention more to the local stuff. So what kind of service am I doing? So if I can hit the air, if I can let these people know, like, look, man, pray for us if you can't be there. I know, like I said, I'm going to be there because I said I would be. Yeah. And the other thing is, too, but there's a lot of prayer that is going for Mickey and myself. One of the craziest things that I learned last night was they cannot talk about abstinence in the state of California. Did you know this?
No.
The teachers cannot talk about abstinence in the state of California because it's considered a religious thing. So because it's considered religious to be abstinent, they're not allowed to talk about it. The teacher is not allowed to talk about it.
But legally, how do they connect that? I'm just curious.
Man, I didn't ask no questions. I was just like, a lot of people were, like shocked about that, but I just could not.
That's California for you guys.
That's California. So the thing about it is like, they're basically saying they want to put this curriculum in from 5th to 8th grade so that way they can teach your child. This is a straight attack from the enemy. Yeah. Straight from this has nothing to do with physical, no war, blood, and all of that scripture. You guys know what I'm talking about. But this is strictly against the children. I asked the question this morning, when in the Bible did he start attacking children? Not the children of God, but a young age of children, the devil. When did we see that the very first time? That's a question.
As far as a child?
Yeah, as far as a child. Because, like
Genesis
we look at...
6, probably.
Is it Genesis 6?
They were inhabiting women, having
that's
children.
when he started attacking the children?
Well, no, I'm just thinking of a Bible story.
Me too.
So, I mean, it's crazy.
Because Cain and Abel were probably adults.
Yeah, they were adults. So it's just crazy. Because, we learned about Herod, about how he killed all the children from 2 and under. Somebody had mentioned to me today about Pharaoh, because, he was killing all of the babies. That's how Moses got put in whatever. Blah, 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 blah. This is a straight attack, man. And like I said, thank you very much for allowing me to share that one. This is a local one. So, hey, for you people out there that are watching it, please pray for this, that it does not go through. We do not want these teachers who are so leftist to be teaching these children that.
But it's not just local. Justin, show the video, the Sesame Street video.
While he's looking for that, I want to read a couple of the comments here.
Get it set up. Pause
American Chicano says, go down the rabbit hole at the beginning of this depravity. It starts with a guy named John Money. And then he continues as John Money, and then it went down the slippery slope, and now it's in children's schools. Empty Tomb says, basically, it's how to sin 101. Felipe says, John Money is definitely burning in hell, sick individual.
Yeah, he is.
And
John Money was a bad dude.
Let's watch this.
One moment. One of the things is, oh my God, what did you just say, man?
I didn't say it. I was just reading comments.
The thing was, somebody had told me that all of this information, when you look at it, everything that is coming out of this curriculum, all goes back to Planned Parenthood.
But let me say this before he plays: everything you're saying is important for parents to know. But this goes back to last week when we were talking about homeschooling.
Yes.
Because do not depend on the government
I agree.
or the education system to raise your kids in a godly way.
Yes, very good.
So we got to bring it back to that. So go ahead and play it.
This is Sesame Street.
Annie, Ellen looked just like Jonathan Van Ness.
That is Jonathan Van Ness.
Elmo, Cookie, are you ready to see my monster piece?
Ready, Jonathan.
Mama Bear, some runway music, please. People and monsters alike, a round of applause for the Not Too Late Show's newest monster, Alan. Ta-da!
That's the new transgender character.
Alan Monster is wearing the latest in high monster fashion with a set of sleek horns, fluffy, fuzzy fur, all topped off with a monster honker.
Annie.
Okay, now now show the Instagram the little photo, the edited photo, real quick. Right there. Wow. That's the Sesame Street official Sesame Street post. Go down.
It is?
Yeah.
You looked it up?
Yep. Sesame Street. That has the blue check on it. On our street, everyone is welcome. Together, it's a build a world where every person and family feels loved and respected for who they are. Happy Pride Month. Sesame Street.
Horrible, man.
And that's why I'm saying, I understand the legislation of that is local.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so to all of us, as far as I know, we were talking about homeschool and all those different things. And one of the things, I know we haven't had somebody be able to come on yet, but one of the things that they told me was they said, if you're homeschooling and you have people, watching online as far as this podcast, and you're homeschooling, you're alone, go on Facebook. There is homeschool communities out there that are looking and recruiting for more parents just for fellowship and encouragement. There's groups all over the country, and they're growing more and more and more. And so, if you are a homeschool parent, if you have some time, connect with some of those groups, because they can be a big help and a support and a strength, because creativity-wise, activities, different things for you to do with your child, but just to make sure that you guys are have the information you guys need, for your home, or even maybe you might be able to help some other families in your local church get started as well, because maybe they don't know where to start. That was one of the main things they said. They said there's so much public information out there. If you go on Facebook, there's a lot of good Christian homeschool groups that aren't necessarily they're not teaching the same program, but they're interconnecting, and just for fellowship and strength and encouragement.
Yeah, you see that?
Yeah. So this is June 9th. June 9th, which is next Monday.
Where?
Oh man, dude.
Mickey, do you know where it's at?
Type it in the chat.
It's in the. Oh my God. So sorry. I apologize. Please forgive me.
June 9th.
The meetings that he's talking about.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm thinking, what day is that? Because today's the 3rd, so it'll be 6 days from today. So it'll be Monday? Next Monday?
There we go.
I don't know.
425 Locust Street in Modesto, California. 425 Locust Street in Modesto, California. June 9th, 6 p.m. start is June 9th on Monday. It's a board report and discussion. Same place on June 23rd, 6 p.m. start time, board discussion and vote. So the last time they tried to vote on this to even bring it forward to this point, it got to 4-3. So you see what I'm saying? It's right there. And like I completely agree with you, David. Don't depend on the public schools to make your children godly. That's number one and first and foremost.
That's our mandate.
But the thing about it is there is still children out there. Like I said, I got nothing in this game, bro. I got no skin in this game because I have one going to be a junior. My third one just graduated. But man, this is something that I see that is much more of a problem. You know what I mean? And so I don't need to have children in there to be into this fight. So that's all I got to say about it.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. We got to wrap this up. Angel has a class to teach in 22 minutes.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah, we got to get some things ready. So God bless each and every one of you. We'll see you next Tuesday. Hopefully this was informational for you and, just something that you can come to every single Tuesday. We do this. Let's just talk. So anyways, God bless you guys.
Peace.
Be blessed.
Okay. All right. Here we go.